Being greeted with a 1 to 2 month injury to one of your main bench players when you're trying to fight for a playoff spot is not exactly what you'd like to see. But that's what we got with Mojave King and his hyperextended right shoulder, which will likely have him out for the remainder of our season even if we do sneak into the playoffs. So that sucks. He brings a lot of defensive versatility for us, and we had some real scary defensive lineups with him. So we do have to make up a rotation spot, and there are no defenders quite like him out there. So we'll just have to replace his minutes with Tony Snell. A good shooter and a decent defender. It's the best that we'll be able to find this late in the season in free agency. But on to our matchups for the rest of the season, starting with the final Grizzlies game where we were getting smacked until we had a very good fourth quarter, but it wasn't good enough. DeJounte and Şengün struggled to put up efficient shots, but Ja Morant was actually injured with a sprained toe for 1 to 2 weeks 12 minutes into the game. That could really have a huge impact on our standings considering they're right above us somewhere. The Kings may be inconsequential for our immediate position in the standings, but that didn't stop us from beating the brakes off of them. Christian and Şengün really had themselves a game, combining for 57 points and 20 rebounds. Great game from Şengün. And after losing to the catless Timberwolves, we stormed back in the fourth quarter against the Kings, scoring 45 freaking points in the quarter. That also puts us as the 9 seed. So that game was a huge effort by our guys. And then somehow we take care of the Clippers despite them having Kawhi and Paul George. This team is really going crazy at the end of the season. And we're seeing a lot of different guys step up. It's been Şengün in plenty of these games. It's been KJ stepping up a couple of times. Jovic has been really solid in that starting spot. And almost every night, Jalen Green leads the way for us with his scoring. But it's the final night of the regular season, and we have secured a spot in the play-in tournament regardless of the outcome. But the Phoenix Suns are our last game of the regular season, and a win secures us the 9th seed. And so here we are in Houston tonight with probably the most important game of the season. It's the difference between playing the Lakers or Clippers, but I think we have the tiebreaker on some of the teams above us too, so a win here could vault us above some of those teams above us. I'm not really sure, we'll just have to see what happens. But once again, unfortunately, offense is hard to come by for us. Man, let me tell you about that defense we played on them though. That was nuts. There was a stretch of plays where we blocked every single shot they put up, sometimes multiple times in one possession. I mean, on paper, we don't have that good of a defense. Although Jalen has grown into an above-average defender, Jovic and Christian have a knack for getting blocks, and it helps for them being so lengthy. I mean, we're kind of a huge team. DeJounte is 6'4", Jalen is 6'6", KJ 6'8", Jovic is 6'10", and so is Christian. We're enormous, and we fly around the floor for contests, block shots, altered shots. I mean, you name it, we got it. We managed to get 2 early fouls on CP3 by posting him up. Both of the fouls only resulted in 1 point, so I guess it was worth it for him. Although it gave their offense an even harder time because Campaign had absolutely no chance against DeJounte. The Suns had about 4 points for most of the quarter. Booker was able to get a couple of shots to go to give him 9 before the quarter ended. But man, what a defensive performance by our guys. One thing that was really the undoing of the Suns was the fact that Dario Saric was their backup center. He played way too many minutes at the 5. We're huge. We have Christian, Jovic, Şengün. All of those guys are way bigger than he is and gifted at scoring around the basket. We put him in the pick and roll so many times, and he just could not hang. Defending a finisher like DeJounte and a big like Christian and Şengün was just way too much for him. It sounds like we scored 40 points in the quarter, but that was very much not the case. We still had some struggles on offense, and to break the fourth wall for a minute, hook shots and any shot with a big absolutely never work, and it makes me so mad. I had so many shots given up because instead of just going up with it, they'd go into some hook shot, and even with a good release, they would just absolutely never go. I know these guys have decent hook shot ratings, so there's no reason they should miss every single one when their defender is 6'1" and they are 2 feet from the basket. Not to mention the horrible IQ the AI has. I'll be posting up on a mismatch, and there will be at least 2 people cut directly to the basket to bring the center over to contest the shot. It's infuriating because it happens so often. It's completely ridiculous. And in order to clear them out, I have to call an isolation. But now with the new way to call plays, instead of the dedicated buttons you have to go back and forth, it shaves like 5 or 6 seconds off of the shot clock. It's just all around, it's horrendous, the AI. But back to the game. Towards the end of the quarter, we had no scoring for like 4 minutes, and it was simply open shots not dropping, paired with some of the issues I just told you about. The third quarter, though, this is where we really figured things out. It's something I'm going to take into whatever play-in game or playoff series that we play in. I decided to use Christian not only as a pick and roll threat, but as someone coming off of screens. Making centers guard in space, on the perimeter, and coming across screens is something we really need to take advantage of. Christian is more athletic than most bigs that will be guarding him, so he can use that to come across screens and lose his defenders and either get a shot up or drive to the basket. It's something I'll definitely need to experiment with. But given that we don't have that many shooters, we need to be relentless attacking the basket. DeJounte ended up getting himself going, Christian got even more, and we just started to really pull away from the Suns. I could show you us clamping the Suns like you've never seen before and then abusing them inside, but at the end of the third, we're up like 73 to 30 something, and we're just going to simcast the fourth quarter because why wouldn't we? An absolute domination on the defensive end by our team. I mean, look at these percentages that we held the Suns to, and we out-rebounded them like crazy. That's another plus of being huge. But something I did not expect to be the outcome of this game was being the freaking 6th seed. Yes, you heard me right. The 6th seed. I guess we had the tiebreaker on every one of the teams that was above us, and we just vaulted from the 10 seed to the 6 seed. Meaning we avoid the play-in tournament entirely, and we get to face the Kings in the first round. We'll talk more about that matchup later, but man, playoff basketball is back in Houston, everybody. Oh, and here's the awards for those of you who may care.